This particular word problem is challenging. Why is it challenging? It's challenging because there's a lot of information thrown at you. But just like anything else that's challenging, all we need to do is break it into its component parts and deal with them piece by piece, and then we'll see that we get a clearer picture of what needs to be done. So the first thing that I'd like to do in this problem is just to get an overall sense of it, maybe with a little bit less English and with a diagram to see what's going on. So you're told that a trucker travels 200 miles with an empty truck. So this is 200 miles. And you've got this trucker. You can give him a name if you want, maybe Max the trucker, or Tucker the trucker, I don't know. And he's traveling from, let's say, point A to point B on the way to pick up some wildebeests. Now, if you don't know what a wildebeest is, you can check that out. Just click on the word wildebeest and it'll take you to Wikipedia. Anyway, he picks up his wildebeest and then he heads back. So now, as opposed to being an empty truck, it's now loaded with the wildebeests. And he's going to travel the same 200 miles. But now, since the truck is loaded, it's 25 miles per hour slower. And of course, if you go slower, the trip's going to take longer. So let's say 4 hours longer. So here's the question. If we call v the speed of the empty truck, so v equals empty truck speed, the question is, how fast does he travel with the wildebeests? So in other words, how fast does he travel with the loaded truck? Okay, so I feel like I've made some headway. I took the problem, which was in English, and I've now drawn a diagram which is showing me what's going on. The next step is I want to take this information and try to convert it into mathematical language. So how are we going to do that? Well, first off, let's think about what we need to know. We want to know how fast is he traveling with the loaded truck. Okay, so that might help us. And I also see that I'm given some information about distance. I'm given some information about speed. And I'm given a relationship with time. So all I'm going to do at this point is just play. I'm just going to write out what I'm told and see if it gets me anywhere. So let's see. We have the empty truck. That'll have information for distance, speed, time. And then we have the loaded truck. Again, distance, speed, and time. OK, let's see what we can fill in, see if it gets us anywhere. One tip about word problems is don't try to memorize the word problems. Every word problem is different. You need to come in with a clear mind being writing down what you know, being willing to draw a picture, being willing to play around with it, see if it gets you somewhere. So let's see if this work will pay off. Well, the distance is 200, both empty and loaded. The speed, let's see, the empty truck speed, oh, I'm told that that's v. Oh, actually, I'm even going to cross this out because I've already used it and I have less to look at. The loaded truck is 25 miles per hour slower. So if this were 70, this would just be 45. If this were 40, this would be 15. If this is v, then this is v minus 25. It's going slower. Great. So I've now crossed this out. So what about the time it takes? The time it takes. Well, this is where I have to remember the relationship between distance, speed, and time. And I never memorize that because I do something every day that helps me to remember it. I drive a car. I drive a car. I go miles per hour, and that's my speed. So why does that help me here? Because this tells me that distance over time must be speed. Again, what am I trying to do now? I'm just writing down what I know. Why am I even concerned about time? Because it's in the problem somehow. So I need to get a handle on it. So how do I get the time? Well, let me multiply both sides by time, this relationship. Let me divide both sides by speed. And we see that the time is distance divided by speed. Ooh, I've got that information. So distance divided by speed. Distance divided by speed. So now I've written down all that I know. I have some formulas here. Maybe they'll help, maybe they won't. Let's take a look. 4 hours longer for the loaded truck. So at this point in time, what I'd like to do is develop an equation. But what I like to do first, instead of jumping to an equation, which is what lots of students like to do, is I like to write something what I call normal people talk. You might call this English. So what do I mean by this? So 4 hours longer. So again, forget equations for a second. Now we're just kind of getting a big picture sense. So let's see. The empty truck time is equal to the loaded truck time well, they're not equal. They're related by this 4 hours business. Well, for example, if the empty truck, if it took 7 hours for that, then it would have taken, based on that information, 11 hours. Right? It's 4 hours longer. If this only took 6, this would have taken 10 hours. So I'm trying to develop an equation. This is not true. They're not equal. How can I make them equal? Oh, it looks like I can just add 4 to this side. So if I take 4 plus the empty truck time, I'll get the loaded truck time. Normal people talk first. Now I have an equation. I've got the pieces. Looks like I only needed these to get the time. That was actually the most important thing. So we have that 4 plus the empty truck time, which is 200 over v, is equal to the loaded truck time, which is 200 over v minus 25. We breathe a sigh of relief because we now have a mathematical equation that we can solve. And as long as we know how to solve rational equations, we're home free.